Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Chef Vic Cuisine. Today, we're going to be making some apple pie cookies. Now, this is a new take on traditional apple pie. It's a real eye catcher, and it's perfect for fall. So, let's get started. Alright, so for the ingredients, we have 4 main categories. I'm going to start with the first. So, for making the caramel, you're going to need 1 cup of brown sugar, 5 tablespoons of unsalted butter, half a cup of heavy cream, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, and then a pinch of salt. And now for the filling, you're going to need 2 pounds of apples. So I normally use either Gala, Golden Delicious, or Honeycrisp. And then you're going to need 2/3 cup of white sugar, plus some additional for the topping of the pie cookies. You're going to need 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. You're going to need 1 pinch of nutmeg, 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice, so about the juice of 1 lemon, 1/4 cup of unsalted butter. And now for the dough, you're going to need 2½ cups of flour, plus some additional for rolling, 4 tablespoons of granulated white sugar, half a teaspoon of kosher salt, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, plus some additional for the topping. Then you need 1 teaspoon of ground allspice, so in this video I'm going to ground it myself. Half a teaspoon of ground ginger, and then 1 cup of unsalted butter, and that's going to be chilled, and then 4 tablespoons of ice water. And then finally for your egg wash, you're going to need 1 egg, and then 1 tablespoon of heavy cream. Alright, so to get things started, we're going to make the caramel. So you want to mix the brown sugar, the unsalted butter, the heavy cream, vanilla extract, and salt, all in a small pot, and heat it over medium-low heat, or 249 degrees Fahrenheit, or 120 degrees Celsius. And you want to cook this caramel for 7 to 8 minutes, and you want to whisk it often. And you'll notice that the caramel will begin to thicken over time. And after the 8 minutes passed, you want to remove that from the heat and set it aside to cool. Once you start to see those large bubbles form, that's when you know the mixture is becoming caramel. So make sure you keep mixing it throughout so it doesn't harden too much. Now for the fun part, making the cookie filling. So you want to peel and dice the apples into small bite-sized chunks. In this video, I'm using a KitchenAid, which is a real time and lifesaver when it comes to making the filling of this cookie. But you can always do this by hand, or you can use an apple dicer, which is a really cheap tool you can find for your kitchen. Your ultimate goal is to get as small of pieces you can of the apple to make it easy to fill each apple pie cookie. And your goal here is to have little to no apple peel in the apple cookies, so make sure to remove as much of the skin as you can. You also want to core each of your apples and remove any apple seeds you may find. So try to dice your apples into the size of the pieces that you see in this video. Once the apples are all roughly chopped, you want to put these in a bowl and then add the sugar, the cinnamon, the nutmeg, and then the lemon juice. And you want to toss the apples around in this mix until they're all well coated. Now in a large skillet, you want to melt the butter over medium-high heat. which is about 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius. You want to add your diced apples and cook them, stirring the mixture until the sugar dissolves and it begins to simmer. And this should take about 2 to 3 minutes. Now you want to cover the skillet, reduce the heat to medium-low or about 249 degrees Fahrenheit or 120 degrees Celsius, and cook until the apples soften and release most of their juices. And that should take about 7 to 8 minutes. After the 8 minutes are up, you want to strain the apples into a fine mesh sieve over a medium-sized bowl to catch all the juice. And now you want to return the juices to the skillet and simmer those over a medium heat, which is about 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 176 degrees Celsius. And you want to do that until the juice is thickened and lightly caramelized for about 8 to 10 minutes.
So as you can see, as you reduce the juice, it starts to brown and lightly caramelize. So this is what you're looking for before you turn the heat off.
So after the 10 minutes, in that same medium bowl, you want to toss the caramelized apples with the juice reduction, and then set that all aside to cool completely. Now for making the crust. In a large size bowl, you want to mix together the flour, the sugar, the salt, cinnamon, the ground allspice, and ground ginger. And you want to whisk that all together until it's all well combined. And now you want to grate in the chilled butter and drizzle in slowly the ice cold water. So as you can see in this video, I'm using a food processor to blend all these ingredients together. And the resulting dough will be quite brittle, so you have to handle it carefully.
I know this looks like cheese, but it's actually the chilled butter that you're grating. And you want to make sure that it's chilled, otherwise it'll melt too quickly in the dough and then your dough won't hold any shape. So keep adding tablespoons of ice cold water to the mixture until the dough starts to take form.
And now you want to shape the resulting dough into 2 large dough mounds, and then wrap each of those in plastic
Or place them
in a large Ziploc bag and chill those for 20 minutes. Now separately, you want to pour 1 egg and a tablespoon of heavy cream into a small bowl. Whisk the egg and the cream together, and then chill that egg wash until you're ready to use it. So after about 20 minutes, you want to remove the dough from the refrigerator and use a lightly floured rolling pin and a lightly floured rolling surface to roll the pastry dough out to about 1/4 inch thick. So 1/2 of the dough is for making the bases of the cookies, and the other half is for the lattice tops. So cut the cookie bases using a round cookie cutter into circles from one of the rolled dough mounds.
And from the other mound of dough, you're going to roll it out and cut out your lattice top pieces. And then you want to add a dollop of the caramel you made in the beginning of this video onto the tops of each of the cookie bases.
So the best way to start assembling the cookies is on the prepared baking sheet, instead of making them elsewhere and transferring them on there. The cookies, as I mentioned earlier, can be pretty fragile, and so you don't want them to crumble apart as you transfer them. Alright, so for forming the cookies, you want to add about 1 to 2 tablespoons of the apple pie filling to the center of each circle base. And then you want to brush the edge of each cookie with the egg wash.
I mean, how good is this looking already?
Now, from the other rolled out dough mound, you want to cut out the lattice pieces, about 1 inch wide and 4 inches long. And you want to arrange the lattice top and brush the top of these cookies with the egg wash again. Now, once you've assembled your cookies, you want to cut and remove the excess dough edges of the lattices with the cookie cutter you use for the base, so you can clean up the look of each cookie. For finishing touches, I normally will always add a sprinkle of additional sugar and cinnamon to each of the cookies. And now you want to bake all of these at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 176 degrees Celsius for about 20 to 25 minutes until they're golden brown. And just like that, you made your very own apple pie cookies. This recipe is such an eye catcher. It's perfect for the fall, and these cookies are a perfect mix of flavor and flaky crunch. And this recipe makes more caramel and apple pie filling than you'll need for the cookies, so you can always store it for future use or use it as a dip.
And don't mind the mess that the caramel makes after you bake it. These all clean up really nicely. If you want to make more cookies, I would say just increase the ingredients for the dough amount. As I mentioned earlier, the ingredients for the caramel and apple pie filling are more than you'll need for this recipe, so all you'll need to do is make more dough to make the cookie bases with.
As always, this recipe and many more can be found in my cookbook, Chef Vic Cuisine, Finding Your Inner Chef, and that's available on Amazon, and I'll make sure to leave the link to that in the description box.
These cookies are super soft and they melt in your mouth, and they'll be gone before you know it. Don't forget to smash that like button, share this video, and subscribe to this channel. And make sure you tune in for next week where I show you how to make this acai bowl. You won't want to miss that. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next week on another episode of Chef Vic Cuisine. And until then, peace.